Let's whip it around to the Plains. Auburn, they open the season. A big visit weekend as they host Alabama A&M. One of the big names that'll be on hand is Duce Knight. The Duce Knight is committed to Notre Dame, but he's been flirting with the Tigers now for what seems like a month. We've had him on Flip Watch. He'll be on the Plains this weekend. What's going on with Duce Knight and Auburn and Notre Dame for that matter?
Keep him on Flip Watch. Still love where Auburn stands for Duce Knight coming into his upcoming visit to Auburn. He was also at Big Cat Weekend, coming with several family members. Several sources believe that Duce Knight ultimately will end up with Auburn. But you talk to some other sources, they say, hey, he still may visit Ole Miss. He's trying to get back to Notre Dame. He's in no rush to decide. But I think that the majority of my sources believe that he'll be in Auburn's class. And so that's why I continue to roll with the Tigers on the on-3 RPM. And then for Notre Dame, they're battling to keep Duce Knight. They got their quarterback they got CJ Carr, another potential quarterback of the future on the roster right now, a true freshman that the returns on him are very strong for what he was able to show in the spring and then again in fall camp. And then they could evaluate senior quarterbacks and go from there. It's certainly a place where we've seen Notre Dame flip quarterbacks late in the Marcus Freeman era. They flipped Kenny Minchey from Pittsburgh. He's another talented young quarterback on the Notre Dame roster. So if Duce Knight does ultimately decommit in favor of Auburn or Ole Miss perhaps, we've seen Notre Dame be able to hit the quarterback market late in the cycle and land a quality arm. I have no doubt that they'd be able to do that again. And also, it's exciting that you have CJ Carr on the team for the next few years.
Let's stick with Auburn here for a second. What does a 5-star finish look like if we're talking Auburn recruiting down the stretch?
Oh, man, Auburn's in on a lot of names right now, Josh. We have an article on the On3 front page, Wiltfong Whip Around, Fong 1. You can read that for $1. But they're trying to flip Naim Alford, cornerback committed to Ohio State. Naim Alford's dad, Kaori, told me last week that he thinks his son will get back to Auburn for a game this fall. He was at Big Cat Weekend. Oregon's in the mix there for Alford. And then you got 5-star offensive lineman Andrew Babalola. There's confidence around the Plains that they'll ultimately land Andrew Babalola. Stanford's the on-3 RPM pick. But a lot of sources believe the Cardinal are starting to fade there. But you got Michigan certainly in the thick of it, Oklahoma, Missouri rounding out his top 5. I think he'll make his college decision by September 6th. That's the first game of his senior season. So Auburn, they get Duce Knight, you get Babalola, you get Naim Alford. It's a top 2 class, top 3 class.
We're definitely we're splitting hairs, but that is a top 3 class, I think, if you can finish with that. Unbelievable. Absolutely. Right now what Auburn's doing on the trail. Do you think right now, would you say that they were the hottest team of the summer?
Well, I think so. We talked about that on Inside Scoop. You can watch that on the YouTube Recruits channel here on 3 YouTube Recruits channel if you haven't watched that video. We talked to Auburn yesterday being the hottest team of the summer. They're looking at some other flips. You got Sam Carter, receiver, committed to Georgia Tech right now from South DeKalb in Georgia. That's a name we haven't mentioned much on either of our shows, but that's another talented player that Auburn's keeping warm. Tyler Lockhart's a 4-star linebacker that we still like Auburn for. And so Caleb Cunningham, they'll keep trying to chip away at Alabama for the 5-star receiver. So Auburn, we'll see what they do on the field on Saturdays, but they're absolutely crushing it on the recruiting trail right now and go into the season with a ton of momentum and a lot of blue chippers with a keen eye on how they continue to progress in year 2 of the Hugh Freeze era.
Yeah. All right, Auburn fans, talk to us. Let us know who's your top flip target, because we know Hugh Freeze likes to get the spatula out during the season. Let us know who you're gunning for. Comment section below.